proud I am for, I know being a grandma and a mom and having a clinic and whatever, that so many of you made so many sacrifices like they talked about earlier to be here. Time, money, time away from family. It's not always easy. So I just want you to high five yourselves in the mirror later on tonight and say, you got this, okay? I actually wrote down 2 quotes because I wanted to make sure that I got them accurately. My talk's going to be mainly towards those of you that are new. There'll be small amounts for those of you that have been around, not your first rodeo. So the first quote was really interesting to me. How many of you know who Tom Brady is? I come from New Hampshire. Okay. So Tom Brady did a quote, and I thought it was really interesting. He said, to be successful at anything, you don't have to be special. What you have to be is what other people aren't. Consistent, determined, and willing to do the work. So I know that there's, like we talked about earlier, sometimes when you start with the scanner, it can be overwhelming. Okay, and you start to have those self-doubts creep in or feel like, oh, wow, you know, I wish I didn't do too good in biology when I was in school, and, oh, shoot, chemistry, oh my gosh, that last talk, wasn't my forte either. I don't want you to get overwhelmed by your scanner. I want you to know that if you are consistent, determined, and willing to do the work, you will soon find that all the dots start to connect together, and that you're just having the joy and the thrill of knowing how much you're helping people, okay? The other one was Dr. O'Brien. And for some of you, you know way more than I know. And when I get up here and I give a talk, it's things that you've heard for years, or you know more than what I'm saying about it. But I thought that his quote was really interesting because he said, people enjoy repetition once they realize that they discover new things they missed the first time around. And that often when there's repetition, even if it's the exact same sentence, sometimes they just have a new thought and then go in another direction. So repetition is really important, and that's what I'm here to do, to repeat for some of you and to introduce some of you for the first time to some ideas and some concepts. Causes. I am passionate about causes. That's why I put causes. That's why you're here. It's really, really important to remember that when you're working with your scanner, that the definition of pathology is the science of the causes and the effects of diseases. Would you or would you not agree that to a large extent in medicine today, that what we're seeing is more interest in the effects of diseases? Do you or do you not have? How many of you have people that come to you because they're just tired of symptoms being treated and one prescription after another, and pretty soon they just don't know what to do? Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So your causes are like railroad spikes. Now, I know that you've all probably at some time or another had a flat tire with a nail, okay? Causes are way bigger than a nail in your tire. It's like a big railroad spike, okay? And when you have a tire like that, you can pump air into it and pump air into it and pump air into it, but it's going to just keep going flat. And a lot of what we see in the treatment of illness anymore is just pumping air into a tire that may have one or multiple nails or spikes in it. I had a mentor years ago that used that analogy, and it just always stuck with me how accurate that was. So we've heard so much today about frequencies. Your scanner is all about frequencies. The sooner that you can get that idea in your head that it is all about frequencies, every single aspect of it, the more quickly you're going to be able to connect the dots and put the information together. So you've all seen in your numbers and vitals, and when you do the comprehensive, to remember that 5 is ideal and that you can have 6, 7, 8, 9 that is moving more towards an imbalance of frequency that is suggestive of inflammation or inflammatory type frequencies, and that if it's 4, 3, 2, 1, it's heading towards an area that's really tired energetically, but it's still just about the frequency, is just really, really important concept to get. So what can frequencies be indicative of? This is just a short list. Many other things also. They can be cellular memory. You had something, you fell off a swing when you were 5 years old and something happened in the body and your scan is still reflecting an energy in that area that was damaged or that got hurt. Residual damage from past events. Toxicity that's still lingering in the body from some type of an exposure. Developing inflammation in an area, whether from outside exposure, injury, foods, whatever the source may be. Frequencies that have just been there for a long, extended period of time, possibly from even in utero. Things that pass over genetically. And sometimes in the reports, when you see something listed, it's just the closest frequency to something that's in our database. And that's why it's never, ever, ever diagnostic. Don't ever look at it that way. Now, are you going to have times when somebody comes in and they've been diagnosed with something and then in the scanner it shows that that's what they have? Yes. But that doesn't mean that it's diagnostic. It just means in that particular situation, the frequency in the body was matching what they were diagnosed with, but you don't ever use it as diagnostic. So, what are 5 things that your scanner can help you with? Think right, feel right, eat right. Yeah, that word, poop right. Sorry, got to be in there. And then sleep right. Get the concept down that if you can help with the frequencies that are in these 5 separate areas, do you think their health's going to improve? Yes. It's bound to. Remember the same mentor telling me that if you did nothing, if you're new, then get somebody to drink more water, move more, and use more minerals. Their health would improve. Now that was back, oh gosh, I'm going to age myself. That was almost 30 years ago. Now, when I compare what I had with the system I used then with what we have now, it's astronomical. It's just absolutely unbelievable. I have tried so many different machines and looked into so many different modalities and had so many people ask me, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I honestly have gone online and looked at them just so I could give an honest opinion and not just be talking off the top of your head. And I can tell you from all the research I've done, all the things I've looked at, all the things I have just to be able to truthfully answer, I have examined. We have got a one-of-a-kind, most unique, most valuable, most extensive, still growing, effective tool on the planet. It is what it is, okay? And like Lauren, the talk that we just saw, okay? And I don't know how many of you, Dr. Darrell, how many of you on a Wednesday night call a few weeks ago heard him give the talk about the AO tune and the transducers and on the chakra points and whatever? I could listen to that talk 100 times. It was amazing. And that's the kind of people and information and education that we are receiving and will continue to get because of the people that are associated with what is going on, and also because of the people like you that just have a hunger and a desire to help people. Okay? So 3 things to think about. When you're using your scanner, what goes in? Look at the list. What you think. What's on the media? What's on TV? What do you read? What are other opinions that you hear that people have? Your own mental dialogue. I don't know about you, but sometimes I think there's at least 3 of them in there. You're in the shower and one goes, well, we should go shopping. Well, no, we don't have time. Well, yes, you do. Well, why aren't we going? Well, yes, you are. And then you realize you're listening, so there's at least 3 of you. I think that's an argument for inner voice and mind sync right there. So then, emotions, food, water, air quality, environment. What goes in? What goes out? And then what stays behind? Talking about earlier, the different effects of things in the body. Now, this is just a partial list of what's in your scanner. You start adding the infinity one, you start adding the AO tune, you start adding the transducers, you start adding the souls that you can charge, the bracelets that you can wear, the whatever. You have an endless ability to have a passion for different or multiple aspects using your scanner. And just dive into them and educate yourself enough that that passion comes out with everybody that you work with, and their health will all start to improve in one aspect or another. It's just amazing what we have access to. So I'm just going to talk about some of the causes. And I only have 43 minutes, so I can't show you a bunch of examples in your scanner of reports and different things like that. I just want to open your mind to the concept of looking in all the parts of your scanner, like we just saw, for clues to these different causes, okay? So miasms, a genetically inherited weakness in the energetic field that makes a person predisposed to different problems, inherited from their great-great-grandparents, great-grandparents, possibly from their own parents. Now, does it mean that they're destined to have the diseases that are associated with those miasms? No. However, your scanner can assist, because if they show up as having those energetic frequency weaknesses, you can work on it and help straighten them up from that inherited frequency weakness before it ever manifests as a physical problem. That's very valuable. Or what if they have developed some of the things that come with that genetic weakness? Can't you still help them by scanning and optimizing to give them the energetic support to change the frequency in the area anyway? So it's a best case scenario, no matter how you look at it. You can help them. I'm not going to go through this right now. Anybody that wants a copy of it, give me your email. I'll send it to you. When you have these dents on the DNA, you see that you have the triangle there, and I put the one in the middle that the majority of people are scared almost the most of, that those genetic weaknesses can have a tendency towards because of all the different environmental, food problems that we have in our world at this time. So here, I'm just going to quickly go through a few of them. You've got syphilis, okay, the tendency to Alzheimer's, dementia, seizures, bipolar, MS, Parkinson's, tremors, nervous tics. Look at the increase that there's been recently in Alzheimer's and dementia. It's scary. And the age is getting younger and younger. So if you're able to see in your reports, or able to even if you have something that you imprint syphilis, the remedy into, and then put it in the supplement section and see if they come up as needing it. If you're just starting, you can see if somebody is needing that remedy on a daily basis. Same thing with gonorrhea in the family line, predisposing towards the cancer and the diabetes, the osteoporosis, osteopenia, plaquing of the arteries, different stones, different things like that. When we're able to locate through the scanning that there is this tendency in a family line, then we're able to start helping them with it, even as young children. I think it's just really fascinating. In my clinic, we have boxes, and it has SYC, SYP, and then the last one, tuberculosis, that has the tendency to have asthma and eczema, psoriasis, bronchitis, all the upper respiratory weaknesses. Seen a lot of this since COVID. We have boxes, and we just put the SYC for psychosis, the SYP for syphilis, and then the TUB for tuberculosis. And we list all the diseases, and we ask them, in your family line, have you seen any of these? And they're always fascinated, because they'll circle the ones that they know that their parents, grandparents, cousins, whoever has, and then you do the scan on them and you show them that they're genetically coming up for what they circled, and right away they get it. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm just possibly leaning towards that. So, okay, so let's look and see what we can do to straighten you up, or it doesn't happen. So it can be a real educational tool when you're working with people as well. Acidosis can be another one in the body, another cause. You can see here that just too much acid in the tissues, How does it happen? Well, the scanner shows you. Maybe their emotions are making it where they're getting more and more acidic. Maybe they have some food sensitivities that come out as saying high or low cause that lend themselves towards inflammation or lack of energy. Water, poor quality water, lack of movement, lack of minerals because of either their diet, the poor soil conditions, their whole autonomic nervous system just gets affected by it. And emotions is one of the top 3 causes of all. So that's something you really have to pay attention to. And then acidosis and entire systemic inflammation can take place at the same time. We have reduced circulation, oxidative cholesterol in the arteries, lack of movement, reduced elasticity in the circulatory system. How thrilling was it today to see that youth product? Okay? How wonderful is that? And how awesome is it in the last talk to see that you can now look into, under body systems, the chemistry and start getting all the clues as to why all these causes are happening. You've got it right at your fingertips. Even dehydration. Don't even get me started on what I see with that as far as dehydration and a lack of electrolytes. It was kind of amazing to me to see that, and I think I have it farther in here, that the body puts 20 to 40% of its ATP production towards the sodium-potassium pump so that the cells can communicate, okay? And that ties directly in with hydration. One of the problems being that now we're seeing where people are even just glugging down gallons of water and washing the potassium out of their system and actually having problems because they're drinking too much water because they don't realize that now they're just washing out everything that's needed in the body, and they actually need to reduce the water and use electrolytes, and then the other half need to increase the water and use electrolytes because they aren't getting the things from their food. So when you're in your scanner, look to your heart for the circulatory cause. Look to the arteries, look to the veins, look to the capillaries. Look where your 1s and 9s are, and then start educating yourself on any place that you see a 1 or a 9 as to what does it do and what does it need. And then cross-reference it with vitals. Cross-reference it with cell salt research. Cross-reference it with what you have in homeopathics, your homeoenergetics. Start looking into all the categories. Be a detective. I've been doing one interesting fact I found was, there's places in the arteries where the protection of the arteries is only 1 cell deep. That's just, how much does that open up people with their diet and lack of exercise and hydration and the food they're eating and aging and whatever to having the problems that we're having in the circulatory system. Compromised immune system is another one. Somebody that's sick all the time, somebody where their body isn't functioning correctly to destroy the foreign substances. Could be bacteria, could be viruses, heavy metals, chronic disease, their emotions spiraling, their spine needing spinal care. Maybe they've been on a lot of drugs or medication. Maybe they just came out of chemotherapy. You can help anybody that has a compromised immune system by doing the research in your scanner with all the different components that you have to work with. Here again, and these slides are just 1 or 2 of a myriad of ones that you could look at, but I just wanted to give you the idea. Start looking in the lymphatics for the 1s and 9s. You've got your blood cells. Actually look at the blood cells, and like she was talking about in the last talk, start educating yourself on what some of those areas do, and then you're going to start seeing and connecting the dots with, oh my gosh, this one ties in with the one I just saw, and that ties in with something else I just saw, and you'll just be connecting more and more dots that are in your scanner. Same thing with the human cell. Educate yourself on what the different areas of the human cell do when it's connected to the immune system, how it works, how they all interrelate, how they communicate, what do they require for nutrition. I thought this was fascinating. Science research estimates that approximately 1 billion times a second there is a methylation process going on in every cell of the body. When I read that, I found that this last week. I was just going through all these articles. 1 billion times a second in every cell. And the immediate response of most people is going to be, oh my God, so much could go wrong. And then my brain went right to, what if our reaction with having our scanner is that we could help so much go right? Switch your thinking, okay? Start getting it where that 1 billion times a second, something is going right somewhere. And sometimes it's just one thing that you have them do that you find because you've connected the dots in another area. One of the, this is one, for example, when I found out that the lysosomes are the recycling service for the cells, it's like, okay, so if they drink more water, they have more minerals, they improve their gut a little bit, and their lymphatics start to move, their health's going to get better. And that's just a basic understanding of what that does. You start adding that to it, and then when you start seeing that their digestion's off, and they need more water, and they don't have enough minerals, and you look at that part of the cell, and it's got a 9 or a 1, you're like, bingo, I know at least where to start if I'm new. Macrophages and T cells. I always liked the illustration that was given to me when I first learned about these, and they said, well, the macrophages are the guys that go around and they eat the junk and eat the junk and they eat the junk and they eat the junk until they blow up. And then somebody comes and cleans up the mess. And I said, well, what about the T cells? And they said, oh, they went to college. They have a higher education. They go around and yeah, they're able to eat stuff up and then somebody cleans it up. But they also have this cool little needle that they put out and it kind of injects into the area, something kind of like hydrogen peroxide. And that's their higher education way of taking care of the same problem. And I just thought, you know, stuff like that, you start looking into stuff like that and it sticks in your head. And it may not be exactly the most scientifically sound description, but it sure stuck in my head. And when I start seeing problems with macrophages and T cells, you automatically start to know later where to go. Compromised musculoskeletal system. We all see that. You know, the spine, the muscles, the cartilage, aching joints, tendons, ligaments. People have got traumas. People are having subluxations in their back, their mineral deficiencies, the adjustments aren't holding when they go to the chiropractors. The emotions and the stress are making their spine go out. They're not drinking enough water. There can be a myriad of reasons. And then you have the symptoms that they come in with. And that's what they're feeling like. It just hurts. They're in pain. And it could be a multitude of reasons, but start looking at the spine, see where the 1s and the 9s are, and start investigating what is it that could be causing that. What could be making it that happen, so that you're not just treating a symptom, you're actually digging a little deeper and finding out what's behind it. And a lot of the times it's going to be, well, there's a lack of this, which is caused by this, which is caused by the adrenals under stress, which is depleting the minerals, which goes back to emotion. So always think of emotion as being one of the top 3 causes to start with. A stressed out nervous system, we see it more and more. The world is a pretty crazy place right now. Look at your areas in the body that reference to the nerves, and here's just a couple of pictures. You've got tons of them. And then start cross-referencing with vitals. Start cross-referencing with what cell salts work with what. Start researching, well, what homeopathic remedy could help this? What's in homeoenergetics that can support this? Maybe I need to use the transducer. You know, would the affinity wand help this area that's hurting? You have an entire disposal, okay? Research has shown that if you take 15 minutes a day, 15 minutes. I'm taking a course with Mel Robbins right now. Do any of you know her? Mel Robbins? I signed up and took a 6-month course with her. I personally am working with her for 6 months. And she said 15 minutes a day. She's a kick-ass lady. If you do something, the repetition, doing the reps, is what gets it where it finally sticks, and then you move on to the next thing and you do 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day. If you're brand new, pick something that, it's the heart, something that appeals to the heart, and take 15 minutes a day. Dedicate yourself. 15 minutes, set a timer, do whatever, and learn that one thing. And then when you learn that one thing, pick the next thing and move it onto it. Learn that thing, and then start working them together.